Love is 48 table settings that we painstakingly made together. A project that saved us a little money, but almost caused there to be no wedding. Then I was gonna make a joke about how the argument of when was our first date also almost caused there to be no wedding. Admittedly, both times were my fault. Then I was gonna thank everyone for coming. Even though everyone said we were too young to get married. A fact that did not stop my father from paying for my wedding dress. I was planning on giving my gratitude to our families for being here with us. Except I never got to give that speech. Because somewhere between the third course and cutting the cake was the end of the world. Except it didn't happen the way everyone thought it would, with war, plague, or famine. There was just the world. And then there wasn't. For a second, I couldn't feel my sorrow because I was so angry that just 2 hours ago we had vowed to never do anything alone again. And now, I'm all alone. I wondered if everyone else knew that the end of the world was going to happen except me. That between the planning for our wedding and our future, that I somehow missed the present danger. I thought that maybe you crossed your fingers behind your back when we were standing at the arbor. But it doesn't sound like you, though. And you've only ever broken one promise. The year before you proposed, I had picked a bunch of wildflowers. And you said that you would paint them for me. Because they were so lovely. But then work got harder, and a different argument boiled to the surface. The flowers died before you could paint them. Admittedly, you were in the wrong then. I don't know what to do now. Being alone at the end of the world. I guess I will continue to love you.
Mr. Newman is in for a huge surprise when he sees my letter of resignation on his desk. He told me that if I followed him, I would have a career. And like an apostle, I did for 3 years. And maybe I wasn't always the best at my job. You know, I wasn't a John or a Peter, but I like to consider myself a Timothy. Good enough, loyal enough. I was a good employee of Newman & Sons, the brightest local advertising firm in a 50-yard radius from the next advertising firm. After a year of hard work, they had to downsize. And you know, they only need one person in the account managing, and I was not that person. But they weren't just gonna fire me, no. Mr. Newman promised me a job. So they made me a secretary. Except being a secretary really just meant running errands for Son 2 and Son 3. They even removed my desk because I wasn't in the building for more than 15 minutes a day. This morning, I snapped. I was running late. I'm never late. And after I was rushing up the 3-story building, the eldest son remarked, "You're late. You're never late." And then proceeded to give me a long list of errands to run, because I think he's finally noticed that his 2 younger siblings have been removed from any earthly burdens and has punished me for it. All in all, the list wasn't too insane. Go pick up his dry cleaning. Go get him this chicken pate from this new trendy restaurant that the Times just reported had a large amount of food poisoning cases in the last week. But hey, he doesn't read the Times. And I wasn't feeling too charitable. And lastly, I had to go pick up his kid from preschool, who he was raising to have a 50-pound chip on his shoulder and an emancipation by 16. I rushed out the door, and I picked up his dry cleaning, no problem. And then I went across town to get his chicken pate from Cipriana's, and I made it in time for school pickup at the preschool. I was walking up by the street with the kid, and at the mention of his father's name, the kid ran away. There was this moment when I could have grabbed the kid and stopped this horrible day from getting much worse. But when the kid dashed, I dropped the dry cleaning, and the chicken pate went flying through the air. So I had a choice to make. Well, I decided to choose what I thought my bosses cared about more. So yeah, I know it kind of sounds bad that I lost the kid. But I went through the city looking. 1 hour turned to 2 hours, and turned into the chicken pate, not sounding as bad as it did in the morning. So I ate it. And on hour 3, my stomach started to grumble, and I got a little lightheaded. And in this new plane of existence, I saw something. A pigeon. And it looked exactly like Mr. Newman. It was uncanny. And as I moved closer to the bird, it just appeared more and more like Mr. Newman. It had his hollow look, this little sad, lonely look in his eye. It even had his bald spot. Well, I must have gotten too close to the bird because it flew away. And then I just started running after it. I don't know why. I must have chased after it for 4 blocks before I lost sight of it. Well, when I looked down, I saw the kid. And as I called out his name, the food poisoning that I've been fighting back for the last hour finally won. Vomit coated the white little button-ups because the plastic ripped off during the huge fall. And the kid? He laughed. Kind of gurgled out of him. And then I thought to myself, when was the last time that I laughed? Well, when I returned to the office with the guilty-looking son, the empty to-go box, and the ruined dry cleaning, the 3 sons were waiting for me. And I handed him off my task for the day, and I marched into Mr. Newman's office. I was ready to deliver my manifesto about how helpless his kids are, and how he had promised me to false promises and capitalist ideals, and how I was relegated by one more evil stepsister than Cinderella. But he wasn't there. So I left him a note. I told him, "You look like a pigeon," and I quit. I quit! So I can't make rent this month.
Everyone has that one crazy person in their family who enjoys camping. My family had Uncle Jimmy. And like a true Boy Scout, he knew how to fish, build a shelter, and make a fire. And once a year, he took my whole family on a camping trip. And we made sure to always be on our best behavior,
not complain about the bug bites or the lack of indoor plumbing. It usually was 3 days. 3 days of camping. But not complaining got harder as I started to realize that my whole family used their hobbies to avoid the yearly trip to nowhere. I have a pottery seminar that same weekend. I'm actually training for a marathon. Even my siblings used dance or soccer to avoid the camping trip. I became the sacrificial lamb. And not to sound dramatic, but when I graduated high school, I was very excited about never having to do another group project ever again. But I was even more excited about moving out of state for college, which meant that I could avoid the dreaded camping trip. But I think my uncle kind of knew that the summer between high school and college would probably be my last trip. So he planned a week-long voyage. Yay. The first 2 days, I was mad. All of my friends were at graduation parties or in Europe on these crazy expensive vacations, and I was in the middle of the woods with my 65-year-old uncle. So yeah, I dragged my feet a little bit, walking at a rate that would nearly double our journey. And then I realized I'm walking at a rate that would double our journey. So I picked up the pace a little bit. And on the 4th day, we had made up for the time that I had wasted. And maybe I was starting to enjoy the trip a little bit. I mean, there is something about walking in the woods and seeing that not everything's been corrupted by people yet. It's peaceful. And then my uncle had a heart attack. Scared does not begin to describe the feeling of when 1 second you're marveling about how good it feels to not be around other people that you want to be around as many people as possible. People who are smarter than you and people who will help you, help someone that you love. Because I didn't know what I was doing. I just told him to look up at the trees because we were surrounded by trees, and I thought that was nice, I guess. He took an aspirin, and we continued on. On the last night, I asked him why he loved camping so much. And he just said that it was nice. It was quiet. He said that he saw me smiling midway through the trip. He could see that I wasn't stressing about comparing myself to the rest of my family. And yeah, maybe he was right. So the next day when we were packing up the car, I told him that I want to go on another trip next year. But we never got a chance to. He's not dead or anything, but the doctors just said it wasn't worth the risk. So my uncle gave me all of his camping gear. And now, I'm the crazy person who enjoys camping for my family.
I used to be an eel, Atlantic by origin, small by nature. People think that animals are unaware of the scope of the world, but I was, as the ocean is not a kind place, nor is the shore above it. The catalyst for my transformation, a boat that caught me in its nets. As it raised me out of my home and into the air, I could feel my fins shedding. I could feel my stature growing larger. I'm still unsure if Poseidon was putting pity on me, or if he was playing some cruel joke, changing me into the monster that wanted me dead. To be truthful, humans care very little about eels. I'm not a thing of beauty, or a creature that could give them answers about the mysterious waters around them. However, when I was entangled in the nets, I was a miracle. The fishermen were frightened of me, whispering prayers underneath their breath, shouting questions at me that I did not understand. I spoke the language of the moon and the sea, and I could hear them calling to me, "Jump back in." But I stayed because I had this feeling that if I jumped back into my home, I would drown. The fishermen took me to their village. I had heard rumors and stories about humans, how they were loud and had sharp teeth and never-ending hunger. But as they crowded around me, their teeth were not sharp. Some of them didn't believe the fishermen and thought they were lying. Many more believed them to be true. They placed me in the center of their community, and for months, I sat beneath the statue as no one wanted me in their home. The people would bring gifts of coins and silks and food, and word spread of my miracle. People around the world came to see me. They would crowd around, trying to catch a glimpse of me, reacting to their offerings. And if it wasn't pleasing to them, they would steal more than they gave. I'd bare my teeth and circle around them. In the water, I was a fierce predator. I could trap my prey and consume them in one motion. But on land, they would push me to the ground and laugh. Sometimes, someone would reach out their hand to help me up. But most of the time, they left me alone in my exhibit. But my real tormentors came at night, when the sound of the village was gone, and all I could hear was the melody of the sea going through the sky. My nights were full of tears and longing for my home. As the days grew warmer, the statue did little for the sun that was scorching the earth. My body became weak, and I became content to doing nothing. Gifts could not even get me to rise. With night came relief, along with its poisonous song, a song that I could no longer resist. I walked out to the shore where the sand met the water. And I listened to the chorus of the waves that crashed. I saw the sand twirl through the air, and I looked out at the landscape, and I walked into the cool water.